Welcome to Horrors Yet Unseen, the podcast where we assign each other horror movies to watch and then talk about it so our spouses don't have to listen to us go on and on and on about scary stuff they don't like. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steve. Let's talk about some scary movies. By the way, there will absolutely be spoilers in this show. You have been warned.
Yeah, is that what it said? Did I watch 9.5? Is that what I put in?
You said 9.5, and I was wondering what 9.5 movies meant. Like, which one did you give up on and say half?
Species.
The first one?
Yep. I got halfway through that one. I was like, nah. I was just bored.
Yeah.
I was bored watching it. And maybe it was just the fact that it just didn't hit me. Nothing really, the story didn't intrigue me enough, but
yeah,
I don't know. And that was early on too. Like that wasn't after 8 movies. That was the first one that I really started out with. And I was like, nah, I'm good.
I think the reason that I stuck with it and even watched the next couple is because I had seen so many movies that week that I was kind of numb to what was good and what was not good. Or
I understand. I did watch good movies this week, which was nice, but yeah, it was just Species. Species made it the half. So I watched 9 full movies. That. And I guess you can't say, you could probably cut that down to, I finished watching that Titan movie, Titanium, whatever that French movie was. Mm-hmm. But I skipped through not the good majority of it, but I'd probably say at least half of it. I was
I used the 10-second liberally. 15-second, whatever, skip button.
Yeah, that was my plan. So yeah, started watching Species, couldn't really get into it. Steve pressured me into watching Lady Hawk. That's what I wrote down. That's literally what I wrote down. Here, my notes for Lady Hawk. Okay, first, I'm half expecting Bill and Ted to show up in this movie. Like at some point, I genuinely
You're right.
A phone booth to drop down and either George Carlin to pop out or Bill and Ted to be like, "Whoa!" Like I thoroughly anticipate.
That is one of the most accurate things to say. But yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like that.
Like I'm gonna say that Lady Hawk is, I don't know where it falls in line of, is it pre Bill and Ted or post Bill and Ted? But it's either a prequel to Bill and Ted or it's the third movie in the line. This movie is unnecessarily 2 hours long. They could have told this story in an hour and a half. They did not need to drag it out for 2 hours. That was. The score of this movie is one of the wildest choices in human history. That's the third note that I wrote down.
Dude, the score. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I looked up the guy who did the score, and he's like he's an audio engineer.
What?
Not that it doesn't mean you can't be creative, but there were, the thing that annoyed me about it still annoys me about it, but it's like kind of youthful childhood, like nostalgia thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But looking back at it, the techno-ish 80s vibe of things,
mm-hmm.
that was really weird. But then once in a while, there was legitimate orchestral music that fit.
Yeah.
Like random times, it suddenly fit.
Yeah. My fourth and final note on Lady Hawk was the costumes are pretty great though. Like,
oh yeah,
those night costumes that they had with the red and the chainmail and whatnot. I was like, those are pretty sweet.
Now, wasn't Matthew Broderick pretty funny in that?
I mean, he was. I mean, he just talked to himself basically the whole movie, or talked to the Lord. Like he either talked to himself or talked to Jesus. So
yeah, his prayers to God were pretty funny.
Yeah. So I watched Skinamarink.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is an hour and 40 minutes too long. That's the total runtime of the movie. Okay. That's
I'm
me
glad you
being
agree.
nice. That's me being nice. I said in that episode when we were talking about you watching Skinamarink and how it was a smoking hot turd for you, like I had said, well, maybe the reason why people like it is because they want to see where that subgenre goes.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it now, and I will retract what I just said. So here's the first retraction of our whole podcasting career here on Horrors Yet Unseen. I don't think people should like this subgenre at all. I think that, you should not do that. Found footage type analog horror movies, fine, whatever.
Right.
But this particular one, no, you shouldn't like this. This is because you're right. It was just long shots of nothing,
Yeah.
of just nothing. And without closed captioning, the dialogue is so subtle. And by dialogue, I mean whispers in the dark.
Right.
Like,
And unintelligible mumbles.
yeah, I wrote down this movie is 100% not scary.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called a horror. Maybe because mom and dad die and the kids don't know where they are. Fine, whatever.
But do they? I mean,
well, here's the deal.
You can't really tell.
I don't know, but Kevin McAllister's parents disappeared, and that one's not called a horror movie. So knock it off. Okay. And the only thing that was scary, the only thing that makes it quote unquote scary, is the house doesn't have adequate lighting. And no one knows how to talk at all. Everybody just freaking mumbles, and that movie is...
And they have bad cartoons.
It's an hour and 40 minutes too long, man. This movie is bad.
It totally is.
Yeah. Then I wanted to check on Hereditary, still make sure it's 5 stars. It is. It's still 5 stars.
Fantastic.
Fantastic movie. Midsommar, I will say this, okay? I very much want to know why you think this movie is 5 stars.
Okay.
Because I had a feeling about this movie that made me think it was not necessarily worthy of the 5-star rating. But I know that you disagreeing with Steve on the 5-star rating of Midsommar is a friendship challenge. And so I just want to make sure that we are good as far as like this podcast is concerned, as far as our friendship is concerned, because I'm not necessarily challenging it, but also, to quote Backstreet Boys, tell me why.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
I didn't sing it, so you're welcome.
Did I? Okay, so first of all, you could never make me mad enough to destroy our months-long relationship as friends.
Our months-long relationship,
especially as with Midsommar. So I understand that there are people who don't like it. They don't think it's 5 stars because it's kind of it's a unique taste. I really, I don't know, that I like what I like it. The reason I would 5-star it is I think the performances of all the people are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's written super well. There's all these little subtle things, and I don't know. It just hooks me for some reason. I know part of it is because it's a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
My history with religion, I see a lot of parallels in this. So it hits me in a lot of ways. Like, so Ari Aster has said publicly that this is really a breakup movie, but he loves how people can get lots of different meanings from it. And so for him, he wrote this after going through a really bad breakup with a girlfriend, I guess. And I don't want to have a relationship with anyone who writes this kind of a movie after a breakup. Because
let me put you in a bear costume, put you in a holy temple with a bunch of other dead bodies and burn it until it's collapses.
If this is what comes to mind when you have a breakup, dude.
Yeah. Let me take you to a foreign country where they have completely wild 1,000-year-old traditions that don't need to exist anymore.
Absolutely.
And one of them is skinning a bear,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
putting
stuffing a
your
dude in it.
yeah.
I don't know. I liked a lot about it, and at the very end, spoiler, when she chooses to put him in the fire, and it's like it's her choice, and it's focusing in on her face, and she's crying and stuff, and then she kind of like she Florence Pugh is great. So
Hmm.
her face kind of changes, and you see this tiny little hint of a smile right at the end.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. She did
I
a
don't know.
good job with that movie as far as the that crying scene where she finds out that her
Oh,
family
she's
is dead.
wailing. Yes.
Oh my gosh. It really does completely put you in that scene. And then I think that I like the transition from the car horn. I think it was a car horn. Maybe it was just music, but they transitioned from the car horn to um, music. Like when they found the
Mm-hmm.
car in the garage when the
Right.
firemen were there. I don't know because there was nobody in the car. She turned on
No.
the car and then yeah, Florence did a phenomenal job. And also the guy who played her boyfriend did a phenomenal job of completely being a real jerk. Like
Yeah.
anybody, you know that you're a good actor when you can get that kind of reaction out of people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like every time I see who's it, Giancarlo Esposito,
Mm-hmm.
like I can't not think about Breaking Bad.
Right.
Like I can't not like he's such a from the moment that he walks on screen, I'm like, I hate that dude.
Yeah.
And then everything he does throughout the series, I'm like, I absolutely hate that dude. And then when he gets blown up, you're like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm glad you got what
Mm-hmm.
you. And so when the boyfriend was basically got what was coming to him, I shouldn't say got what was coming to him. Maybe he did. I don't know if anybody has that coming to them. But, when he did what he did, man, here's the thing. I don't know that any of them had choices.
Mm-hmm.
The community did such a great job of manipulating them,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever the like this community during the 18 to 25 range or whatever it is, summer, or is it summer? Is that
Spring.
the spring? Is it spring?
I think maybe
Or
it's
no,
summer. Yeah, it's
spring
summer.
is
It's summer.
it's summer. Yeah.
Spring is when you're
So
young and little.
yeah, you go off, and
Yep.
I believe that these people send. It might not necessarily need to be a belief. People might have picked this up in the movie, but they send off people from 18 to 25
Yeah.
to go into the real world to catch other people,
Yeah. The
befriend other
like
people.
the guy, I forget his name. The friend dude who.
Yeah, the one who brought everybody to
Right.
the commune.
Mm-hmm.
He went out into the world to befriend Americans and other people
Pella.
to come in. That's how because they had explained that they will keep. I think I forget. I don't. Was it Chidi Anigonia who said? I don't know what his name is in the movie. That dude is always
Josh.
going to be Chidi Anigonia to me. Somebody asked about incest, and they were like, "Oh no, we make sure we bring in outsiders to kind of preserve all of that kind of stuff." And I was like, "You freaking bait people."
Yeah.
And
Unless they
so,
want the
yeah.
incest, of course,
Well,
to make a deformed child.
there was only one deformed child,
You know, they
and
have to
what
they
I
have to do that
also
once in
thought
a
was,
while.
yeah, what I also thought was interesting was the fact that they only assign the incestual children to write the scripture.
What's he?
I was
What do you
like,
think Ari Aster's trying to say there, Zach?
dude, dude, I had a million thoughts. I'm not going to say them. Like, those are not for the public. Those are thoughts that live in my head and maybe in a text message to you later, but not live on a podcast. So yeah, to come back and haunt me later. Yeah. Anyway, we can get off Midsommar, but it's. I think I rated that one like 4 stars, 4.5 stars, something like that. It's not as good. I don't think it's as good as Hereditary.
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
definitely up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
it's good.
I watched a lot of and 3 movies in a day. Okay, I can't do that anymore.
Well, what you watched? Midsummer, Hereditary. What's the first one you mentioned?
So yeah, Species, Lady
Species,
Hawk, Skinamarink,
right?
uh, Titan
Right.
or yeah, that movie. Um, Hereditary, Midsommar, Immaculate, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, Late Night with the Devil, and then uh, Little Evil.
All right. Yeah.
The actual movie that I was assigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched all those movies and then was like, oh crap, I haven't watched at all this movie that I'm actually supposed to watch. Yeah. So yeah, it was but I watched Immaculate, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and Late Night with the Devil in one day. And good golly, that was too many movies in a day. Like watching movies at home, you can at least do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not in a dark theater in a comfy chair, like from 10:25 in the morning all the way to, 7 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Three 2-hour movie sessions that's too much, man.
Yeah.
That's too
So,
much.
so for those listening and wondering what we're talking about on the Saturday, you went and saw those 3 movies,
Hmm.
and I went and saw Immaculate and Late Night with the Devil, and then I saw it. Then today, we're recording on a Sunday. Today I saw Ghostbusters. So, I think that 2 was about enough for my old man brain.
Hmm.
Because at the near the end of the second one, I was kind of getting tired. Not because the movie was not good, but I'm old, man.
Yeah. Well, I went in. My first movie that day was Immaculate. I was not prepared for that to be the first movie of the day. Like I thought I was,
That's a
and
heavy one
then
to
the
start
movie
with.
happened and I was like, "Oh no, this is not the healthy way to start the day.
Mm.
That's not I should have had a bowl of shredded wheat, dude. Like that was not the healthy way." Like Frosted Flakes way better than Immaculate.
Oh
Even
yeah,
though Immaculate 5 stars,
right.
super great.
Super good movie.
But then I planned everything out to where I would just go from I started at one theater. I finished at another theater.
Oh okay.
Um, like it's just down the road, and I forgot about previews. So like I
Oh.
spaced out enough time between the first movie and the second movie that I'd be able to get something to eat. My brain shut off. I did
Mm.
not know what I was thinking. I forgot about previews. The previews for the first movie took a half an hour,
Yes.
so that took me a half an hour, like behind. It basically butted the ending of Immaculate up against Ghostbusters. I
Mm.
then also forgot it's Saturday afternoon. Parents might want to take their kids to go see Ghostbusters, so the theater might be full. Because I got to the theater to buy my ticket and it was almost sold out. And I was like, dang, you got to get your seat, dude.
I thought you got
The
them all ahead
line,
of time these days.
I could have, but
Oh
again,
okay.
my brain wasn't working. So hindsight's 2020, right?
Sure.
So the concession line is backed up like crazy. And I'm like, I got to get into the movie theater. So I go to the movie theater and I don't think until after the movie's over, like halfway through the movie, I kind of start to get a little lightheaded because I
Hmm.
haven't eaten. I
Hmm.
have basically haven't eaten all day.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize until the movie was over, dude, you're at a Cinemark bistro. You could have just like ordered your concessions on the app and had them
Yeah.
deliver it to you. Like,
Yeah.
at least had something. I could have at least had some popcorn, some sort of substance in my stomach. Um, yeah. Anyway, I immediately ran to Chick-fil-A and got some food and had some time between the Ghostbusters and Late Night with the Devil. But yeah, it was too many movies in one day. Too many movies in one day. It was a good Saturday though. I got to bookend the day with really great movies.
Yeah.
So, and I do very much want to break down these movies. I'm looking forward to breaking them down with you. Like, probably once they come to streaming, I think we should revisit
Yeah.
at least Late Night with the Devil and Immaculate. Watch them
Yeah.
again, kind of break them down. Even if it's just like, okay, well, instead of this week, instead of assigning each other two different movies, let's just go, hey,
Right.
let's watch Immaculate and just break down Immaculate, and then next week let's break down Late Night with the Devil.
Sure.
And just do
Yeah,
that.
mix it up a bit.
Just because I very much want to talk about those movies, but the movie theater is not a time to take down notes because you can't freaking see anything and you can't have your phone out, So,
And I actually, one of the things I wanted to chat about is the trailers before movies.
dude, I already know where you're going with this.
Continue.
Go ahead.
So I've got some thoughts. I find it interesting the trailers they play before movies.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there's too many of them.
Yeah.
Second of all, the commercials.
Did you have a National Guard commercial in
every freaking time?
Yeah. By the way, you don't see the 3 movies that I saw in a day, and I watched the same spiel. Besides Ghostbusters had like 2 or 3, 4 different movie trailers, but the 2 horror movies that I went to see, Immaculate and Late Night with the Devil, had the exact same intro, basically.
Okay, so so Late Night with the Devil, I saw 8 trailers.
Oh, you found it?
I wrote them down. The first Omen, because nobody else was in there. I thought I took a few notes. The First Omen, Quiet Place, Day One, Abigail, Tarot, The Bike Riders, Cuckoo. I hadn't seen that one before. In a Violent Nature and Arcadian, and all of those are horror movies except for The Bike Riders, which looks like the dumbest movie on the planet. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that.
Nope.
Yeah, it looks so stupid. Anyway, and then just side note, Late Night with the Devil had, I think I counted 8 intro, like produced by production company.
Dude, oh my gosh.
They just never stopped.
It never stopped. Half the freaking movie was them just showing like production.
Yeah. Little
intros.
Animations.
I was like, dude, get on with the movie.
Get on with it. And then, so Immaculate was very similar, but it only had 6. It had Quiet Place, Abigail, Tarot, Daddy-O, which, whatever, Arcadian, and Longlegs. So it was slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ghostbusters had Inside Out 2.
Right. Makes sense.
If.
Uh-huh.
And then Quiet Place, Day One.
Yep. And I was like, why? There are children in this theater.
And then Godzilla versus Kong. It was a short version, right? Yeah.
It was a short version of. It wasn't too intense, but I was like, what are you doing? This is a scary movie.
Yeah, and then the Quiet Place Day One, and then the Godzilla versus Kong, whatever movie. The new Minions movie, whatever that one is. Borderlands, which is a little bit edgy, but okay.
I didn't see the Borderlands trailer.
Garfield? There's a new Garfield movie coming out.
Yeah,
and then Tarot.
Dude, Tarot was the one that I was like, why is this being shown? Because it was the full trailer.
Right, like the freaky, creepy parts of the trailer and everything.
Yeah, it was the full trailer, and I was like, there are children in this theater. Like, parents are taking their kids to go see a semi lighthearted, like it's what?
It's like cartoon scary.
6, 7, 8, 9. How old do you need to be to go see Ghostbusters? It's going to be subjective, but still, I said
it's
6.
PG-13, but I would say I would say 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like, not tarot,
Mm-mm. No, 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 no,
not even close.
no.
Yeah, I guess you, to some degree, you have to appeal to the parents. And I know Pixar does this a lot. Like, they'll appear
Right.
because the kids are going to see the movie with parents, and also, a lot of those movies when they come to streaming are just on loop in a
Mm.
in a house. But trailers, whoever is in charge of trailers for the Ghostbuster Frozen Empire movie, that person needs, like, no way. They got to take out both Tarot and A Quiet Place. They
Yeah.
got to take those out. That's too much for a
It
kid.
kind of made me feel like that the industry doesn't know where to put Ghostbusters because it's
Yeah.
about ghosts. There's kind of creepy stuff, but it's fun and happy and joyful and cartoony. And the people checking out, they're getting concessions in front of us. They had two kids. The daughter was like 4, 5, maybe.
Yeah, of
She had
course.
like a frozen princess dress on over her jeans and t-shirt.
Yeah, why
And
would you?
that's how that's how you roll. And then their son was maybe 8-ish, and he had a Ghostbusters hoodie. So and
Yeah.
they were going to the Ghostbusters, and I thought, parent how you're going to parent, but I don't know if this is for a 4 or 5 year old.
Well, Ghostbusters, see, that's the thing, is like, it's pretty, at this point, I think Afterlife did a pretty good job of kidifying the movie, you know,
Afterlife.
but yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, I forgot the name of that's the subtitle. Sorry.
Yeah, I just skipped to the subtitle of the movie because, you know, it's just Ghostbusters. But
Right.
I think that did a good job of kidifying these movies
Yeah.
versus 1 and 2. I mean, yeah, you got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and whatever, but, the humor in 1 and 2 is pretty adult.
Yeah.
Um,
Have
but
you have you seen the Ghostbusters with the woman cast,
yeah,
female
that's
cast?
fantastic.
Hello.
I
Yeah.
I really I enjoyed that movie. I know that everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. I know that there are people who don't like it.
Well, they're wrong.
Well, but I think the casting it was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
It
Oh
was a
yeah.
fun movie. Chris Hemsworth, I thought, did a great job playing a complete like a ding dong, a dumb dude. It was great. You know, the cameos from the original cast, the Ghostbusters,
Mm-hmm.
that was fun. The story was fun. It was just it didn't need to be anything more than just fun.
Right. Which is Ghostbusters supposed to be? They're fun movies. That's
They're
what
fun
it is,
movies.
right?
Yeah. I did have problems with this particular Ghostbusters movie, but it was still fun, you know.
And we're gonna be putting up. By now they should be up, right? Some
Yeah,
Instagram
the
reels.
our initial reviews of those movies are micro reviews because Instagram is stupid. Our micro reviews of those movies are up right now.
Yeah. So Zach and I went, and immediately after the movies, we kind of recorded our thoughts, and they're on Instagram uh at horrors yet unseen pod.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Also, last thing we should talk about before we get into our movies, okay? We need to talk about the Pooniverse. I put this in the
Oh,
notes. I put this in our show notes.
the
Okay,
night
we
of
need
the
to talk
term
about
Pooniverse, I
the
swear.
Pooniverse. Okay, because that was the announcement that in
Right.
2025 we are supposed to get an Avengers type assembling of dark, twisted childhood characters. Yeah, Jagged Edge Productions is the company that is the studio that is backing Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and like that line of movies.
Yep.
They're calling the cinematic universe the Twisted Childhood Universe.
Right.
So Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, Bambi the Reckoning, Peter Pan, Neverland Nightmare, Pinocchio Unstrung, and then number 6, Pooniverse, Monster Assembled 2025. Like,
Wow.
this is one of the best. This is one of the best announcements in horror movie history that I can think of. Like, because they teased it out, like what's going to be the next one? Because they did Winnie the Pooh 1 and 2, Bambi, Peter Pan, Pinocchio, and then they were like, what's going to be number 6? And I was like, well, Steamboat Willie just came out as public domain,
Right.
so maybe they'll do a Steamboat Willie. I was not thinking this. If you were to give me 100 years to think about whether or not they do an Avengers style movie with all of these characters, I would have been like, no way.
And the poster says Pooniverse Monsters Assemble.
Dude, it's so funny. I'm not saying anything about the quality of these movies. I'm just saying the idea. That's a golden ticket idea, dude. That is 100% a golden ticket idea. Yeah.
That's great.
And in a world where you're making Damien Leone is making money off of freaking Terrifier, Jagged Edge production is definitely going to be making some money. I think that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is only in theaters March 26, 27, 28.
Oh, really?
I think it's a Fathom event.
This is coming.
I think it's only in theaters for 3 days. I would be surprised if it's in there for longer, but the publication of the movie, every time I see the trailer for the movie or some sort of tweet for the movie or whatever, it always says in theaters March 26, 27, 28.
Really?
So, and Fathom events are typically more expensive tickets.
Oh, yeah?
Than just regular, but then they'll have the licensing to stream it and all sorts of other stuff that they'll make money on. But what was crazy to me is the fact that Pooniverse, which is hilarious to say, is coming out in 2025. That's next year.
Yeah, wow.
So that means that they've in Blood and Honey 2, they said today, at the time of the recording, of course, they said that you would get to see a sneak peek of Bambi the Reckoning.
Oh, really?
So more than likely, at the beginning of April, I would assume, they'll probably release that teaser. Because, I mean, we have 3 movies coming out in 2024, early 2025, before Pooniverse.
Really?
To set up this Avengers.
They are ramping up fast.
That's my point. Is like I could assume that the Pooniverse movie, again, I'm gonna keep saying because it's completely stupid. The Pooniverse movie is probably October 2025, November 2025. Like it's gonna be slated probably for the fall season. So that means that they have Bambi, Peter Pan, and Pinocchio to pepper in there at some point. But the marketing campaign ramping up towards the Pooniverse movie is going to be amazing.
You just keep saying it, don't you?
I have to. Every time I say it, I get a little kickback from Jagged Edge production. So. Yeah. Pooniverse. So anyway.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. We should talk about some movies. Man.
I want what last thing for you.
Okay, hit it.
Before we do that,
go crazy.
I sent you. I found out today. So I live again. Don't be creepy, but I live in a town near Estes Park, Colorado, and that's where the Stanley Hotel is. That's inspired The Shining, and they have every year, for the past 20 years, and the last 2 years have been in Estes. Before it was nearby. Anyway, long story short, they have a Frozen Dead Guy festival because a guy, like his dad died, and he put him in a freezer to cryo freeze him, and because it's Colorado, and I guess the weed, maybe, I don't know, but 20 years ago, somebody started a festival, the Frozen Dead Guy Festival. And they have coffin races. They
What?
have a dead ball at the like a dance. It's a whole thing. It's a big deal. Like 20,000 people come to this thing, and somebody was telling me about that, and then I found out that they are just announced a couple months ago. They're building a new building near the Stanley Hotel. It's going to be a horror studio, and the building is going to cost $70 million, and it's going to be it's going to have a museum section to it, and Blumhouse is curating it, and the thing's going to have what I was just reading. It's going to have the film center will include, in addition to the museum, an amphitheater, a soundstage, and the museum and more. 67,000 square feet. The state's giving him like half of the money.
Wow.
For tourism and stuff. And so you're going to have to plan a trip when that method is built. And they're planning to start up a horror festival, kind of like a Sundance, but for horror in Estes Park coming soon. So apparently the city is trying to become the horror capital of the USA.
I'm down with it. That's awesome.
Totally. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, here's the deal. Look for us in 2025 to do a live episode. We're just going to have to do it. We're just going to do a live, sell tickets. Absolutely. We're going to do a live episode of Horrors Yet Unseen.
Sell tickets.
Estes Park 2025, 2026, right. 2027, at some point, really.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, our massive fan base by that time will, sell out this new venue.
Well, my point in saying that is that we'll just trap people at the end of the day. You know,
sounds fair.
In horror fashion, we'll just be like, "Hey, Jason Blum's going to be there," and then it's just us. Steve, you can just dress up like Jason Blum.
Okay. All right, I'm ready. Let's talk about a couple of movies that we watched. All right, you have assigned me. You had assigned me, whatever. The 2020 movie The Hunt, which I didn't know about this movie at all. There's lots of movies that are out there that I don't know about, but apparently this one caused a lot of controversy when it came out. Kind of on both sides from what I was hearing. Was that accurate?
I know that it caused some controversy, and that is the extent of my knowledge.
Well, I can totally understand why it caused controversy after seeing the movie. Because I honestly, my dirty liberal self, I was watching the beginning of the movie, and it got to a point I'm like, what? Is this like an anti-liberal movie? And after a while, I'm like, wait, no, is this an anti-conservative movie? Yeah. And I realized after a while that it's an anti-being a jerk movie. it's an anti. To me, it seems to be trying to say that the extremes are ridiculous and they're bad and they're harmful. Let's try to come together, sort of thing. Because the main character in it, she, Crystal, I guess her name is. I'll get into that in a second.
Okay, great.
She's on neither side, but I will say right out of the gate, this movie, loved it.
Good,
Zach, absolutely loved it. I'd say 4.5 stars on this one. 4 to 4.5. It's kind of on the edge. I've watched it twice. I don't know, almost 3 times, 2.5 times.
Wow.
Maybe. I watched it, and then the next night, I said, Christy, you're gonna like this movie. Because
did you tell her, or
yes,
did you suggest?
I said you're gonna like it, and so she's super. She actually told friends of ours. We were having a coffee with friends today. She said I was talking about movies that I saw yesterday, and she said, "Oh, hold on, don't take any of Steve's recommendations for movies. Just don't take them." She's like, unless you like to be traumatized. But so she's really wary of taking recommendations from me, but I've gotten better. changed my ways, and I only recommend movies that I'm pretty sure she's going to like. And don't tell her this, but I'm also kind of easing in some slightly edgier ones to kind of numb her over time so that we can watch movies together and I don't have to watch it on my phone all the time. But, don't tell her that.
That's a real good husband move. You're definitely getting some good place points for that, dude. Definitely.
I'm just trying to bring us together, man. I mean,
you just said, I want to desensitize my wife over time. Oh, man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say it. You said that.
You're right. I'm the one. I'm sure we could play back the tape, though.
But Christy really enjoyed the movie Becky and the Becky 2 movie.
Okay.
And
Wrath of Becky.
Wrath of Becky, thank you. And this movie, The Hunt, has a lot of similar vibes.
Yeah.
Partly it's kind of a like girls kick butt type of thing. And she likes that because she's a horrible feminist. And
you're just blowing past that. You just straight face said that and then moved on.
Anyway, so
it was great,
and we watched it, and she loved it. She's like, "That was fantastic! I want part 2."
Yeah.
So, the premise of the movie is it's a people are hunting people movie. However, the setup is that it's liberals hunting, like liberals who control the deep state, whatever, are hunting like the QAnon type folks.
Right.
The right wing extremists are hunting being hunted by the left wing extremists, which is an interesting kind of flip flop because that's not what I would like. If you said who's going to be hunting whom, I would say, well, the gun toting Trumpers are going to be hunting the liberals because the snowflakes or whatever. And so first of all, it was interesting to have that flipped up, but at the same time, there's this main character played by Betty Gilpin, who did a fantastic job, by the way, playing this character who she doesn't say a lot, and she doesn't really give away a lot, but which is perfect for the part because she is there by accident. You find out she has the same name as another person in her town in Alabama or Mississippi or wherever she's from, and she's accidentally brought in there. And the reason that they have brought people there is there was a conspiracy theory put online by the person of similar name to her. The conspiracy theory was that liberal elites are kidnapping conservatives and hunting them for sport. And it was so ridiculous. Some of these liberal rich folks, just unspecified really who they are, they were texting to get like joking about it like it was a real thing because it was so stupid. Like, no, there's no way to do that. Then they someone found the text string somehow and outed the text, and they all these people in the text string got fired from their foundations or lost their jobs or whatever. So they're mad and they decide to do it for real.
Yeah. If they think it, then we might as well do it.
Yeah. It's like, fine, let's just do the thing. So they hire a military consultant, which I thought was funny, like kind of jab at the National Guard because this guy was just in the National Guard.
Yeah.
Anyway, these people get kidnapped, taken across the sea to what we find out is Croatia-ish, possibly.
What's Croatia-ish?
Well, she assumed it was Croatian. I guess the license plate was a Croatian license plate, so probably.
I was more kidding around, but whatever. You took it seriously. It's fine. Just ruin the joke completely. Like, describe to me what Croatia-ish is, and you're like, well, it's maybe just kind of like this technical thing that I'm gonna ruin Zach's joke. I'm like, stop.
So if you don't want me to ruin a joke, you should probably try telling a joke first, so I can. You can't ruin a thing that's not there.
Wow.
Moving along.
Okay. Man, you're such a liberal snot right now.
Watch out, I'll kidnap you and hunt you for sport. So
That'd be
They
awesome. I'm gonna survive. You don't even know me.
so these people wake
You
up with
clearly
like
you told me we just had a months long relationship. You don't know me, Steve.
I'm working here, Zach. Let's quit distracting me. Uh, they kidnap 12 people, or 11 or 12 people. They wake up in the forest, and it's very not Game of Thrones, very Hunger
Hunger
Games
Games.
esque,
Hmm.
because there's a big crate. They all and they open. Somebody opens a crate, and there's this huge rack of guns inside, and a little bitty pig with a T-shirt on, which I thought was funny. And the pig runs
Pooniverse.
off. Huh?
Pooniverse.
Oh, maybe it's part of the Pooniverse. Same
It's the same. It's the
same
same
universe.
world. That was Winnie the Pooh, dude.
So they start picking up the guns, and the I really liked how they did a fantastic job of not. They don't make it clear who the main character is in this movie for a while, because they they focus on an actress. What's her name? Emma Roberts. They focus on Emma Roberts, and she's in some of the Scream movies. She's in American Horror Stories a lot, and so
Okay.
they're focusing on her. And I'm like, oh, she's like the main protagonist. And then she gets shot in the head like really fast.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, it's not her. And then they focus on another person who's kind of been in movies and stuff that you've recognized, and it's not him. And then they focus on somebody else for a while, and it's like all these people are getting killed along the way until they come to the Betty Gilpin who plays Crystal. And turns out she was in Afghanistan. She was in the military. So she knows what she's doing with guns and fighting and etc. She's been there. And so she's super cool the whole time. And basically she tries to get away. People are dying along the way, and she seems to be able to really just immediately suss out whether or not someone is like on one of the bad guys or one of the good guys. And she also pretty soon figures out where they are and what's kind of going on. And do you remember her telling the story about the tortoise and the hare?
I think so.
So she tells the story of the tortoise and the hare, and it's the typical story that you tell. Tortoise keeps going, hare takes a break and sleeps too long or whatever, and tortoise wins. But she said that her mom told her this story in the context of, but the rabbit always wins. And so in her story, the rabbit loses the race, but that night when the tortoise is back at his house with his family, the rabbit shows up with a hammer and ties up the tortoise, smashes his children and his wife with a hammer so he can watch them die. Then he kills the tortoise himself with a hammer and then eats their food because the rabbit always wins. And I was like, that is freaking dark.
Yeah.
It was pretty dark. But then they find she and another guy find the main location where they're all holed up. But she basically kills them all, and they find out where that there's one person who's kind of in charge of the whole thing. It's kind of the big boss of the movie, big bad boss, and that happens to be Hilary Swank. And so Crystal goes to find Athena, is her name in the movie. Goes to find Athena, and then it comes out that's when you find out that she was the wrong person, and there's this huge fight. She ends up finally killing Athena after the big fight, and she dresses up in fancy clothes, gets on the plane, and flies home. And it's I don't know, it's the movie was so entertaining. I wouldn't call this a horror movie though. I don't I didn't. I mean, it's classed as that, like thriller, action, horror, but I didn't understand the horror of it. And this, like we said, it's a gray line, it's a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
The Venn diagram is kind of undefined, but either way, thank you for recommending this movie. I will watch it again probably soon
It's
because it
actually
was
a
just
pretty.
fun.
It's a fun movie. I mean, it sounds weird to say that it's a fun movie, but it is. It's a fun movie to watch.
100%. Yeah.
Because it's it's commenting on conspiracy theories that people actually think are real.
Right.
It's part of the reason why one of the aspects of Late Night with the Devil. Spoiler alert if you've not seen Late Night with the Devil by this point, and also shame on you for not seeing it yet. Stop the podcast, go see it. Call off work, do whatever you need to do to go see this movie. Okay? Don't pirate it online. Just go see it. That is, if by the time this episode drops, it's still out. You know what I mean? You might have missed your window. Anyway, so one of the things that I liked, or that I thought was interesting about Late Night with the Devil, was the fact that they hinted at the Grove, like the conspiracy theory of the Grove, where
right. Yeah,
all of the presidents go, and
which is a real place.
Elite.
Yeah.
It's this real place in California, and it's kind of in the third act of the movie. It's kind of this, I'm going to say, behind the scenes main character. Like you realize some things have kind of gone on. This is where, what the heck is his name? This is where he kind of basically sold his soul to the devil,
right?
And for fame and fortune and whatnot. But it's a real place. There's a real conspiracy theory around it. And so part of the reason why I liked The Hunt was because it also hinted at these completely loony, or maybe not loony, I don't know, conspiracy theories, and then kind of subverted it by making them liberals hunting conservatives, and especially in the time of 2020, like it all kind of hit together. But if you take it out of context of when it came out and the quote unquote issues that it caused and the feathers it ruffled and whatnot, outside of that, I thought it's a pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And I loved the way Betty Gilpin played her part, because she's clearly kind of just annoyed.
Yeah.
That she's got to deal with these people and how dumb they are. And like once she's like, gotta kill another one of them type of thing.
Yeah.
And
like she hooks herself to Dawn.
Right.
And, or maybe I should say, Dawn kind of hooks himself to her because Dawn is kind of using her, you know,
right.
But she knows it.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that she does is leading her to where she wants to go. She purposefully puts herself in. She knows she's freaking Liam Neeson, dude, like in Taken. She knows her skill set. She knows what she's good at. She knows how to survive. She knows that everybody else doesn't. That they're just these gun-toting ding-dongs who really don't. They're social media conservatives, that they don't really know the real stuff like she does because she served in the military. She has this real training, and she uses them but allows the viewer to think that they're using her.
Right.
But that's not the case at all, because the whole goal is to get to, I don't necessarily know that the goal is to get to Athena. I think the goal is to kind of get home, get the heck out of here, because again, she's annoyed. She's like, I don't want to be here. You messed up. But I think all roads lead her to go to Athena, because
I think she figures out that she's got to go through Athena to get home.
She kills enough people that Athena's like, we got a showdown at this point, you know? So.
Yeah, but it was great. I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, keep those movies coming, Zach.
Yeah, good.
Appreciate that. What did you watch this week, Zach?
So the one you assigned me was a movie called Little Evil from 2017. And this movie has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes for as far as the critics are concerned, but only a 47% as far as the audience score is concerned, which I thought was interesting. It has a 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. a 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 5.2 out of 10 on Metacritic. So this is, if you average all of those out, like it's basically middle of the road. And
Right.
I did think that it was interesting that the critics liked it, but the audience didn't, because sometimes, I mean, that's flipped.
Especially when you get to like the horror genre.
Right.
A lot of
Typically,
critics just like kind of pan horror stuff just on principle.
right. Well, and like you said a couple episodes ago, it's very easy to make a bad horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all you need is some corn syrup and red food coloring, and you can,
Mm-hmm.
and some spaghetti, and you can make someone's brains. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
put somebody in a mask and give them a chainsaw without a blade, and you got a horror movie. You know what I mean? So this movie stars Evangeline Lilly. She plays Samantha. Adam Scott, he plays Gary, and Owen Atlas, he plays Lucas. The letterbox synopsis says, Gary, who just married Samantha, the woman of his dreams, discovers that her 6-year-old son may be the antichrist. This is a horror comedy movie. So I was in a weird headspace when I first started watching this movie.
Yeah.
It was late at night, and I was tired, and I was snarkily commenting on the first couple of minutes of this movie. And I wrote down my notes. I would like to read them for you
I would
as
love to hear
Exhibit A. So this movie starts off like any good horror movie should. Dark, raining, thunder, spooky music, someone frantically running, creating tension from the start. That, by the way, that's how every horror movie should start.
You think so?
Every single one. It's raining, like straight up torrential
Dark and rainy
downpour.
night.
Exactly. Dark and rainy night, thunder, lightning, spooky music, and people just running around creating tension. Perfect way to start a horror movie.
Sure.
It's here that we meet the cast, Gary, Samantha, and Lucas. You see, Gary buried, literally I wrote, you see. You see, Gary buried, I told you I was in a weird headspace. You see, Gary buried, or no, oh my gosh, dude, get it together, Zach. Lucas buried his stepdad. Again. When mom digs him up, he reasonably exclaims, I want a divorce. And then boom, the title card. So the movie starts off with this scene of Lucas standing over the grave of Gary, who is in this crate. And I immediately am like, how did this 6-year-old child get a full-grown middle-aged adult in a box and get that box in a hole? I was like, what the heck is this movie? Because she comes out and grabs the shovel and is like, Lucas, where is Gary? Or where's your stepdad? Or whatever. And he just points to the ground. And she digs him up, and there you go. I want a divorce.
Yeah, and the air of what she's doing is like, it's almost like not again type of thing.
That's why I said again. Like like Lucas buries his stepdad again, because like, oh darn it. Like it's very, there's still some humor in that completely horrific thing of being buried alive. Yeah. So then the title card, Little Evil. Then we see a street sign, which is incorrectly labeled. It says 1 week later, and not do not enter. So you got one job to create these stops or these signs, and you're supposed to put do not enter on the sign. You put 1 week later. Steve, you're not picking up on the joke. I'm just going to move on.
I am. I'm kind of waiting for it. I'm waiting for the punchline.
I'm in a weird headspace, dude. I told you. The sign says 1 week later. One thing you might get confused about the entire movie, when you first meet Lucas, you might think, is this kid an Angus Young impersonator? That's incorrect. He's not an Angus Young impersonator. It just turns out that the costume coordinator is a huge AC/DC fan and modeled Lucas's costume
Ah,
after the legendary guitar
totally.
player
Yeah.
Angus Young. Yeah, because 100% the very beginning of this movie, he looks like Angus Young, and I'm like,
She
dude,
really does. Yeah.
your costume is crazy right now. Yeah, just if you were to give that dude a guitar, you'd be like, this guy is the legendary AC/DC guitar player Angus Young. Anyway, all Gary wants to do is bond with Lucas. He buys a downhill boxcar to put together with him, but Lucas only cares about earthworms that he dug up. The movie then turns to the living room, where Gary is fixing pancakes for Lucas, despite the fact that Lucas has a giant bowl of cereal, which made no sense to me whatsoever. Lucas is watching the news like a normal kid, and on it is Reverend Clancy Brown. I won't tell you what Reverend Clancy Brown's name is in this movie, mainly because I like my name better. It's Reverend Clancy Brown. Reverend Clancy Brown is doing what all normal morning news preachers do, and that's talk about the apocalypse. He says that based on his calculations, it will happen on June 6th at 6 p.m. Now, I'm not Sherlock, but I think that that's a 666 reference. That's what I wrote down.
What?
Boom. I'm
You
blowing
gotta
this
be in the
thing
right.
out of the water.
Got to be in the right time zone for that, though.
Okay. What? Okay. We're 7 minutes into the movie and all of this is happening, by the way. I made that note. Gary drives Lucas to school and has an uncomfortable stepdad conversation with him, because all conversations in movies with kids and their stepdads are incredibly uncomfortable. Then he gets a call from the wedding videographer, who is insisting that he see the tape. This is now the second reference for some incident that happened at the wedding. The first incident, the first time it's mentioned, I didn't write it down because I'm like, it's not going to come up again, whatever. It does come up again. It's, what drives Act 1 into Act 2. Gary works as a real estate agent and has a run-of-the-mill, completely harmless, wouldn't think twice about it call about a nunnery. And who wants to buy the nunnery? Reverend Clancy Brown. Because of course he would. It's not like we just heard him predict the end of the world or anything. So, come on. The good Reverend goes into the chapel and has only what can be described as a Holy Ghost-gasm. Like, okay. There you go. There's the joke. You were waiting for it, Steve.
Oh, sorry, that really hit me funny.
I delivered. There it is. Out of all the flops that I've had so far,
there's a culmination of it all. So,
yeah, that's it. But he, I don't even, like, what happened? He immediately walks in and goes, does it have a chapel? And I'm like, well, it's a freaking nunnery, dude. Right. Of course it has a chapel, you ding dong. And so they walk into the nunnery and just arms wide open, he starts breathing heavy and grunting and whatnot. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? What are you doing? So I called it a Holy Ghost-gasm. He offers to buy the place. Gary is a great real estate agent because he's like, well, once he sees Clancy's or Reverend Clancy Brown's interest in it, he's like, well, I got a another party that's kind of interested in it. They're willing to pay full price, and he's like, I'm gonna double it. So good on him. You know what I mean?
All right.
He offers to buy the place, and Gary agrees and shakes hands with the devil. I mean, the Reverend. And he gets a call from his wife, who is like, hey, you need to go to the school. Lucas is in trouble. So when he arrives at the school, there are police there taping off the entire, like roping off the school. When Gary gets there, he's pulled into the principal's office, where he is told that Lucas told his science teacher to go to HE double hockey sticks. And then she poured lye on her face and jumped out of the 3rd-story window and speared herself on the fence outside. And I was not prepared for all of that to come out of the principal's mouth. I was like, whoa,
right?
That's crazy. So again, we're 14 now. We're 14 minutes into this movie. All of this has happened.
Right.
And this is where I decided I'm in too much of a weird headspace and I need to shut this movie off and go to bed. So that was the first viewing. Here's the second viewing. It's going to get a little bit more sane and less weird humor.
Less unhinged.
Okay. Yeah. No more Holy Ghost gasms here. This is just some serious review. Here we go. Early on, it's pretty established that mom can't see anything. Samantha can't see anything wrong with her little baby boy. She thinks that he just needs a positive role model. One of the single best things about this movie is the dad support group. Chris D'Elia, Kyle Bornheimer, Donald Faison, Bridget Everett, all of them are hilarious.
Especially Bridget Everett. She's like,
hilarious.
Oh, she's hilarious. Oh,
she is a stepdad, and I love the fact that she's like, I'm a stepdad. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. You're already just a weird character to begin with, because the first time that you meet Bridget, she works in the cubicle right next to Gary.
Right.
And but the fact that she has this she's a part of this stepdad support group that she invites Gary to. And this is where we meet all of the other dads. And so Lucas's 6th birthday is getting ready to come up on June 6th. And they're going to throw a birthday party for Lucas. And they have it the weekend before. Gary wants to impress Samantha. So he goes and he's like, I'm going to take care of the party. He finds a clown on the internet. Because you can't go wrong with a kid's birthday party clown that you just randomly found on the internet. And the clown is so bad that Lucas sets the clown on fire, and the clown ends up jumping into a kiddie pool. But his costume and his hair is basically melted to his body at this point. And the parents of the kids who were invited to the birthday party, they call Child Protective Services because their kids are going to have to go through a tremendous amount of therapy because Lucas inadvertently set. Now, you don't know that Lucas set him on fire. You're kind of viewing Lucas at this point through Gary's eyes because he's just juggling fire like bowling pins or whatever.
Yeah.
And he drops them, but he's a bad clown. So you could easily just go, well, he just dropped them and he lit himself on fire. But Lucas is standing there looking menacing. And you're like, oh, well, Lucas did it. And then also the clown, as he's being carted off by EMS, he's like, Lucas made me do that. We then move on to the videographer. We finally get to find out what happens at the wedding. It turns out the preacher spoke in tongues. And then a tornado happened. Gary thinks the videographer is a wackadoo, but honestly, I don't think he is. He's done a lot of research on Samantha's husbands and found out that all of them have died unexpectedly, except for one. Gary freaks out and leaves. So the preacher did not speak in tongues. They all thought he did. He just spoke in English backwards and basically was like, hey, will you vow to take care of this kid and protect him at all costs? But there is this F2, F3 tornado that goes through their backyard, and Lucas's hair's not moving. Everybody's blowing in the wind basically, except for Lucas. And the videographer's like, dude, your kid's the Antichrist. And Gary's like, what are you talking about? And basically just wants to leave. The videographer scene is hilarious. That actor knocked it out of the park. He's such a wackadoo. I love that scene. So Gary goes home and tries to talk to Samantha again about Lucas's biological father, but she keeps dodging the question. She finally confesses that in her 20s, she dropped out of college and joined a cult. The entire time she is telling the story, she is brushing it off in just an incredible way. Like, she's speaking like it's not a big deal. But everything that she's saying is like Gary's face is being like, what? You didn't tell me this. They found out that she was a virgin and they threw her a party. Gary is clearly very worried about all this because he's a normal person. She goes on about the robes and the masks and the herbs and the chanting. And then she says, they put me in this star and covered me in this warm red body paint. And I'm like, that was blood. That was blood. That's not, you said warm red body paint. No one ever describes paint. Like if they're describing paint as warm, they're describing the color, not the temperature of the paint.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, then she goes, I think I blacked out because nothing really happened. And that's the end of the story because Lucas, they're about to get sexy and Lucas walks in and, ruins all that. And, I thought that was a hilarious parenting kind of moment where the couple is like, there's this weird story that is shared, but that still doesn't deter them from wanting to be intimate. But then Lucas comes in and is like, hey, I had a bad dream. Can I sleep with you? And you see Gary look at Samantha but we had plans? Oh, no, we didn't have plans? Okay. And then he sleeps facing Lucas then, and they basically stare at each other. And Gary is starting to kind of piece together that Lucas may be some sort of antichristos kind of no bueno, dude. He's no good. Then we meet the father. I forget how they found the father. I
forget too.
All I wrote down was, then we meet the father who is whipping himself with a leather strap. This interaction is very wild. And, it's Gary goes to talk to Bridget Everett's character.
Right.
And she finds the dad, basically. And, they go together to...
Are they in Bridget Everett's giant truck yet?
Not yet. That's the end of the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
He says that the father, the person that we think at this point is Lucas's father, says, you need to go see this dude in Bethlehem named Gozamel. Which already I'm like, am I watching a Ghostbusters movie? Your name is Gozamel? Is this a Hobbit movie? Your name is Gozamel? And it's not Bethlehem. Bridget's like, I have to coach Little League. I can't go to Bethlehem, Israel. And they find out that it's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So they get in their car and drive to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania and meet Gozamel, who has this magic sword and is told by his dad that that at some point he's going to meet the Antichrist and he's got to use this sword to kill the Antichrist and all this stuff. Hilarious interaction. And so they plot out, basically. They get in Gozamel's van. Gary's like, hey, should we wear seatbelts? And Gozamel's like, it's the end of the world, dude. There are no rules. And as soon as he says that, what happens? They get into an accident and Gozamel gets launched out the window. He dies immediately, but not after a terrible death scene. And not terrible as in it was gruesome. It was terrible as far as the acting is concerned. Okay?
Yeah.
So Gozamel basically is like, hey, we need to go stab the Antichrist on hollow ground. But Gozamel dies. And, he didn't have a seatbelt on. So, kids, wear your seatbelts. So CPS comes over to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And CPS is Sally Fields. And I did not expect Sally Fields to be in this movie. But I was like, dude, this cast is just getting better.
Yeah.
They have a weird interaction there. And we're now basically caught up to the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Where Gary goes upstairs to quote unquote tuck in Lucas to show CPS that he's a good dad. He has these very weird reactions and gets knocked out. Lucas drags him, puts him in the box, drags the box. He's a 6-year-old child, but he's also maybe the antichrist. I
Right.
don't
I
really know.
mean,
Superhuman strength. I don't know. So he drags him, puts him in a pre-dug hole. This is premeditated murder at this point,
mhm.
and puts him in a hole. But Lucas is 6 and doesn't realize that cell phones exist, apparently, because he doesn't take Gary's cell phone. Gary calls Samantha from the inside of this crate,
From his grave.
and he's like, "Hey, your effing son just buried me." And she's like, again, she still is very much like, Lucas can't do anything wrong.
Right.
So when Gary snaps and says, "You're effing kid," she kind of loses it. And even confronting, like, the amount of delusion that she's in, Gary, when she runs outside and sees Lucas has buried Gary, she still is like, "Oh, my sweet baby boy is like, Gary must have done something wrong here."
Yeah.
Like, so she does a great job of playing that off, but it is incredibly infuriating because, again, the point of view in the movie is from Gary's perspective. So anyway, Gary then takes Lucas to the giant outdoor toilet, water park, to basically kill Lucas. Gary's had another conversation with Bridget, and they're like, the way to kill him is to take him and put sand in his water wings and push him down the water slide, and then he'll just sink to the bottom of the pool and it'll be done. That's their plan. It's terrible. But what happens is actually one of the sweetest parts of the movie is Gary actually really truly does bond with Lucas,
mm-hmm.
and Lucas actually bonds with Gary. So the whole movie kind of shifts away from Lucas being the Antichrist and Lucas just kind of being this normal kid. And you start to kind of realize that the movie is more about just being a step parent or just being a parent in general, and kids are kind of these evil little jerks. and
I was gonna say, the movie is about how every child is kind of the Antichrist.
Right. But the movie is set in the context of this cult going on.
Uh-huh.
And so, but the concept of the parenting child concept of kids being these little demons is it's set in this kind of world. So they have this really sweet moment and or this day at the water park, and Lucas then wants to go down the giant water slide, and Gary is like, "No, I'm not too sure about this," because again, his defenses are kind of being broken down. One of the biggest crimes at the water park. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to get on a soapbox here. One of the biggest crimes at the water park is that Gary has his phone in his pocket the whole time, and it isn't ruined at all. Okay? Because at one point, they're doing super soakers. Like, they've been in the lazy pool. He's not changed outfits this whole time. They're doing the super soaker thing. This lady comes up. They're having a sweet moment where Lucas actually is smiling for the first time in the movie, and the tables are turning. And this lady comes up. "Oh, you have a really cute son. You must be a lucky dad." All this stuff. "You want me to take a picture?" And he pulls out his phone and he hands it to her. And as soon as he does it, I was like, "Dude, you had your phone in your pocket the whole time. You had your phone in your swim trunks pocket the whole time, and it didn't get wet."
Some phones are, waterproof.
Name one, Steve.
iPhone.
Just one. iPhone is not waterproof. I have a glass of water right here. I will sacrifice my iPhone to prove this point.
iPhones are
better
waterproof.
yet, you also have an iPhone. Dunk your phone in your water. Okay. Let's go to a water park, Steve.
They can be submerged in water up to a depth of 6 meters for up to 30 minutes.
You're such a nerd, dude. You're such a nerd that you Googled that. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, it's
It's
still
IP rating. It's IP67 rating. Come on.
okay.
Sorry.
We're just gonna move on because I've already talked way too much about this silly movie. Gary basically then puts the sandbags around Lucas's arms, but he's having second thoughts this whole time. Gary turns his back because one of the teenagers is kind of being a jerk, and Lucas literally just jumps down the water slide. Gary freaks out and remembers that Gozumel is like, hey, on the day, look for a sign from God. So he looks up in the sky. There's skywriting that says the word love, and Gary's like, oh, if I just love him, everything will be fine. So Gary jumps down the water slide, saves Lucas. Again, they have a really sweet kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote down, we've now entered the part of the movie that I believe is a red herring. The part where Lucas turns into a normal kid to throw Gary off the scent. That is not the case. It's not a red herring. Like we do enter the part of the movie where Lucas actually starts to speak because he's actually bonded. Samantha is actually right. Like Lucas just needs a good role model to kind of come out of his shell. But then there's also this other thing, like Lucas is quote unquote Satan's kid, and he's being used as a portal for Satan to inherit Lucas's body and bring about the apocalypse. So as Gary and Lucas are having ice cream, Lucas speaks for the first time, and he tells Gary that he no longer wants him to die. And his dad talks to him through the TV and says that he wants full custody. Gary promises to not let that happen, but just as he does that, an Amber Alert goes off on Gary's phone, and the Amber Alert is for Gary. And Gary gets arrested just as Sally Fields from CPS drives by. And Lucas does try to defend Gary, and Sally basically just turns out to be this minion who's been working for Reverend Clancy Brown this whole time.
Right.
Because we find out that Reverend Clancy Brown is possibly Lucas's dad, or that is possibly the cult leader of the cult that Samantha joined. Anyway, he gets arrested, but Gary ends up talking to this homeless dude, and who's like, hey, can you just let me out of here? Just open this car door. So the homeless guy's like, yeah, fine. He lets him out, and Gary's like, oh, dang, this worked. I didn't expect. And then Gary just runs away. And I'm like, where are the police? Where are the police in this moment that they have left this criminal, quote unquote criminal, in the back of the car, and they've left the car unattended? Like, what the heck? And they also didn't take Gary's phone. So Gary calls Samantha from the police car, and that's when Samantha gets kidnapped.
Prime police work right there.
It's so crazy, but it's a stupid movie. It's a comedy horror movie. It's all meant to be there. Gary goes to see Bridget Everett's character. That's basically his best friend. She cuts off the handcuffs and explains to him about this portal thing, that Lucas is actually not Satan. She has a book called The Definitive Book of Devil Children. And by the way, side note, I think we should start a book club, okay? I think you and I should start a Horrors Yet Unseen book club where we talk about these books. We should get them.
Is there actually a book?
I have no clue, man. All I know is I paused the movie right when she slammed the book down on the table, because apparently that's the only way that you can, in movies, that's the only way that you can open a book, is you have to first slam it on the table.
Yep.
But I read the title and was like, Steve and I have definitely we've got to get weird random horror books like this and just have a book club.
100%.
That might be the Evil Dead talking too, because we just grabbed the Necronomicon or something like that, and then end up in Ash versus the Evil Dead or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to cut to the end of the movie because I'm done talking at this point. The Dad Club is back. They jump in Bridget's monster truck, which is awesome. Head to the nunnery, and they infiltrate the nunnery by smacking Sally Fields in the face with a 2x4. which I thought was not cool. That's not cool. It's Sally Fields. You can't smack her in
But
the
she's
face
a
with a 2-by-4.
minion.
Come on.
You know,
Well, she's Sally Fields. Come on. And
people like her. They
Gary
really
smacks her
do.
in the face, and they stop. They stop the sacrifice from going on. Save the family. Happy ending, and all that. All that said, I think this movie is a 4.2. That's what I'm gonna stop going.
4.2.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I've decided that I'm gonna stop going by halves.
Oh,
I'm just gonna go by straight up decimal points.
okay.
I'm not gonna go 1.5, 2.5. I'm just gonna go by full straight up decimal points, and I'm gonna go 4.2 out of 5. This movie is completely cheesy, completely corny. It's a pretty fun concept though. The Dad Crew casting is hilarious. The casting of the Dad
Crew's
Crew
great.
is hilarious. It made the movie better. It's on Netflix right now, just for anybody who wants to watch it. I think you should go watch this movie.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I didn't have a chance to watch this again. So it's been a while since I saw it, but it's a great horror comedy,
Right.
But yeah, lots of themes of parenting and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you basically find out. I wrote this down. I skipped over it, but Gary actually said at this point in the movie, we basically find out what the movie is about. The movie is about parenting.
Right.
So Gary actually says, and Lucas, he's not Satan. He's just a portal to Satan. And good parenting, it's about keeping that portal shut.
Right.
So like that's kind of the concept of this movie, is centered around parenting and how sometimes your kids can be these devilish little jerks. But then it's set in a world where there is a cult, and the theme of antichrist and all that kind of stuff is put on everybody. But really, Lucas is a sweet kid, and like I said, once you get to the place where Lucas buries Gary, Gary then goes off and is kind of sulking, and Bridget's like, dude, you need to go make this right. And if Samantha is like the girl of your dreams and you need to go make this right, he goes and gets some flowers and does the makeup thing. And is like, hey, I want to take Lucas out. Now, technically, it's to take Lucas to the water park to murder him, but still, that scene then is a pivotal scene. Like, it completely shifts perspective away from Lucas actually being the devil, because Lucas is a sweet kid. So it's a decent movie. I thought
if he would just quit dressing like AC/DC, guys.
You just gotta stop dressing like AC/DC.
Right.
Yeah, Angus Young. At the end of the day, if you want to dress up like Angus Young, do you, man?
I mean, but we all know that AC/DC is a satanic band, so.
Well, we know that exactly. I think if you play their records backwards, then you'll sell your soul to the devil or whatever. So I've never done that, but also, I mean, that's only because I don't have any AC/DC records.
Well, and you've never had a need to, have you?
I mean, sometimes curiosity does strike. Listen, you can't tell me not to play something backwards. Come on.
It's like saying don't push this big red button.
Exactly. You can't do that. You can't set up these, like, everybody's like, oh, well, Eve ate the fruit. It's freaking, the Lord should never said it. Okay,
it's his fault.
Don't say rules. That's the rule. That's it. He set it up to begin with. Just saying. Yeah. I'm gonna go to hell straight for that now. If I wasn't going before.
Yeah, well, it's a fun movie. I'm glad. I figured you'd like it. It's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie. I really enjoyed it, and I think everybody else would enjoy it as well. I'm glad you enjoyed The Hunt too. That was that's a decent movie.
Yeah,
I kind of want them to make a second one, but I also don't want them to make a second one. Like,
yeah,
I don't know where they would go, but I don't know.
I think in general, I keep thinking, like, the more we go through these movies, every time you say they probably shouldn't make another one, I immediately agree.
Yeah,
and at times in the past, I'm like, maybe they should have another one. But then when you say it, I guess you're just so convincing, Zach. I don't know.
That's it.
But because I guess a lot of times I don't think through it. I just think that was fun. More, please. But
Right.
sometimes when you do a good thing, just stop and let it be. No need
Right.
reason to
I
do it
feel
again.
I feel the same way. Like, I don't want more of Little Evil, but there are
Right.
other movies like The Hunt where you go, okay, well, you could go Hilary Swank's boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you thought that Hilary Swank was the actual big bad, but
Right.
she really wasn't. There's this other big bad. But you might just be retelling the story at that point. So, yeah. More than likely, every time I feel that way, I really do side on the fact that they shouldn't. I want more of the movie is really the
Right.
concept. I want more of this movie.
The feeling
I
it gives
enjoyed the
you,
movie
or
so much that I don't want it to end.
right.
So I naturally just go, well, just give me a second one. But I know that that's a bad decision.
Because then you get things like the Star Wars prequels, and who wants that? You know.
Nobody wants midi-chlorians, dude. No one.
So, what now's the time we're going to pick movies for each other for the next time,
Yeah.
right? You finished the last review, so I'll let you go first.
Okay.
What are you going to subject me to this time, Zach?
I'm going to subject you to the 2019 classic Brightburn.
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 Is that one word?
Brightburn. One word.
I don't think I've heard of this movie.
No, it's not on your watch list.
Wow, that's kind of a creepy image.
Yeah. Yeah, it's labeled as a thriller, horror, science fiction mystery.
Wow, that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Evil has found its superhero. What if a child from another world crash landed on Earth, but instead of becoming a hero to mankind, he proved to be something far more sinister? Oh, yeah, I'm hooked already. That's okay. I could totally watch this. This sounds interesting.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
It's a decent movie. I think it's a pretty decent movie.
Yeah. Nice. Sweet. So it's like an evil Superman sort of thing.
Basically. That's it.
That's awesome.
It's basically what if Superman were
bad dude.
Evil.
Okay, so I'm going to really flip things on you here.
Yeah, you told me that this time I get a really crappy movie.
No, it's a movie that I just don't think that you're going to like, which I hope doesn't, like I'm not like telling the future, but it's a very, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? I never said that. I take it back.
You said it twice, so it's difficult for me not to hear it.
It's a movie that I really, really like.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but it's very, very good. But it's weird. It's weird on a lot of levels.
You're really saying an awful lot here that is not giving me warm fuzzies.
Well, I'm trying to give low expectations.
And the preamble is
yeah. The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Dude.
It's not on your watch list for some reason.
That's because I didn't want to watch it. That's why. I didn't put it on my watch list because I didn't want to watch it.
This movie, it's another one of these that's not classed as a horror, but it's a horror movie. it's in my mind.
Thriller, mystery, drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
The director Yorgos Lanthimos is the guy who did Poor Things and The Lobster. Have you seen The Lobster?
I have not seen The Lobster.
Yeah,
no.
That's not a horror movie. It's just bizarre. Poor Things is fantastic, by the way. If you haven't seen it,
I have not seen it.
It's on Hulu now, so you can watch it for free, or for Hulu, whatever.
Well, yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos is a Greek director, and he's weird. His stuff is weird,
Great.
but I love it. But I do want to kind of give you a heads up. Going into this movie, the people in the movie talk very stilted and very mechanical. All their lines are very flat, but
Okay.
that's on
I am going to
purpose.
the supermarket.
Yes, exactly. It very, very flat, but that's on purpose. So
Okay.
it's kind of art housey a little bit, but Nicole Kidman, Colin Farrell, Barry Keoghan, so well known folks. But yeah, so let me know what you think.
Okay. Well, I will struggle to watch this. So thank you very much. How long is it?
Long enough.
Forever?
Let's see,
Too long?
2 hours and 1 minute.
Dude, it's 2 hours long. What are you trying to do to me? Okay. Maybe if I watch less movies this week, I'll be
Well,
able
I'm not
to
making
get
you
this
read a
done.
movie. That's next week.
Great. Great. I'll read a movie next week. Okay.
Sweet.
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yep. By the way, spoiler alert: there are no deer in the movie.
Dude, you just keep setting this movie up for complete failure.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it if there were actually deer being killed in the movie because that's just inhumane.
Have you ever had deer? It's
Yeah,
fantastic. It tastes really good.
kind of gamey. Have you had
Yeah, because
bear?
it's not beef.
Have you had bear?
No, I've not had bear. How would I have had bear? And where are you that you have had bear in your life?
I was a wee lad, and my uncle had gone on and done bear hunting. He they made some bear, and I had like a bite of it, and he gave some to his mother-in-law, and after she ate it and she said that he said that was bear meat, and she went and puked.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember what it's like because I mean I'm not gonna eat poo, you know, even if he's a 250-pound dude in a mask, I'm not eating poo.
I want you to know that this is going to officially be the clip that I'm going to put online. Because because you just said, I don't want to eat poo. And I forgot we were talking about a bear.
Oh, you're right.
You were like, because we were talking about bear. And you're like, I don't want to eat poo. And I was like, my brain can't shift that fast.
At least I didn't say I don't want to eat poo, but I will if I have to. Oh crap!
Yeah.
I just said that, didn't I?
This is going to be the clip. I'm going to clip this out, and this is going to be the clip on Instagram when this thing comes out.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
I'm going to do these shout outs real quick.
yeah, please do.
So I watched a 7-minute short film on Instagram
All right.
called Portrait of God by Dylan
That.
Clark. I think have you seen it?
It's on my list, so I just haven't had a chance.
You 100%.
I'll
It's
watch it
7
right
minutes,
after
dude.
this. Yeah.
100%. You should watch it. It is really good. I thought that it was intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely worth shouting out. And I'll put this when this episode drops. I'll put the shout outs on our shout out highlight on Instagram, and we'll also put them obviously in the show notes. At Dylan MC Clark US on Instagram. Again, everything's in the show notes. And then I also want to shout out this artist on from that I saw on Instagram at Lee Howard _art. This dude gets user suggestions of like 2 horror characters he should draw, like combine and draw together.
Oh.
So like he drew Oogie Boogie and Jason. He drew Freddy Krueger and Godzilla. Here's Freddy Krueger and a gremlin.
Nice.
Here's who is this? Frank the Bunny and Scream. I don't know who Frank the Bunny is.
He's from Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. Okay, yeah.
Oh, the Nun and It. Pennywise?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic artist. Here's SpongeBob and Art the Clown, which is the most, that's so terrifying. I'm gonna ruin my childhood with that one. But yeah, he's just a fantastic artist that I saw on Instagram. I thought I'd shout him out. So yeah, go watch Portrait of God on YouTube and from Dylan Clark, and then follow Lee at Lee Howard _art on Instagram, and yeah, show them some love.
These are the kind of drawings that get you sent to the principal's office when you're a kid.
Exactly. It's also the kind of art that I'm very much into. Like, I would 100% buy pieces, like copies of these illustrations and hang up in my cubicle, and then have my coworkers be like, "Is Zach okay?"
No, like, you want them to think that you're possibly dangerous.
Yeah,
but not. Yeah, for sure. You don't want to confirm that.
Exactly. I did have a coworker ask me about the Black Phillip magnet.
Oh yeah,
so that's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I then had to explain to them the movie The Witch, because they're never going to watch it because they don't like horror movies, and because I work apparently with a bunch of losers.
They're obviously
shout out to all those people I work with who aren't listening to this podcast right now, because I have only told one person that I'm recording a podcast at the moment, and but they were like, "Live deliciously." They were like, "What's that?" I was like, "Well, this is Black Phillip," and they're like, "Zach, you can't say that," and I was like, "But he is." It's Black Phillip. This is the goat from the movie. His name is Black Phillip. And they were joking when they said that, but I was like, because I had not thought about it in that context. I'm like, this is just a goat, and his fur is black, or his coat is black.
Right, he's the black goat. It's a descriptive thing.
And the twins are the ones who call him Black Phillip. I'm not. I'm trying to, he's the devil. Is really what he is. So yeah. Anyway, we're rambling at this point. We should just
cut it off.
Hit the stop button. Yeah.
Next time. See ya.
All right, man. All right, listeners. That's a wrap for another episode of Horrors Yet Unseen. Thanks for joining us.
And we'd love for you to become part of the conversation. Just drop us a voicemail at 1-216-202-5495 or email us at horrorsyetonunseen@gmail.com. And keep up with the latest by following us on Instagram. That handle is at horrorsyetonunseenpod. We'd also appreciate it if you like and review our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.